Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Saying, Refracted Curvature, 10th Man Rising, Neil, Matthew, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning, good morning.
Howdy ho!
Yo, good morning.
I'm back.
That's good, Neil. We're already concerned for a second there.
Discord gang.
Hello, welcome Discord. You all good? Everyone happy?
Shout out to Discord.
Hey, do a little plug, as it's literally perfect timing, although you obviously as a live member of the audience, you haven't been privy to what we were talking about prior to being live. Nevertheless, if you remember, this will all make it sense when you watch the pre-show from today's video after it's been broadcast live and then the rest of the recording's finished. So check that out as a member. But more importantly, if you are a member, I've just literally released a video to the members today, which it's taken a couple of days to edit, but it's not the point. The video is called Blue Sky Gravity for Flat Earth Only. And that video summarises the position that I have in regards to any and all flat Earth positions with respect to gravity. So the alternative positions that are offered up, be it incoherent dielectric acceleration, plasma, Earth rising up at 9.8 meters per second, any of these alternative views that flat earthers lay in false dichotomy for globers who have the primary claim and requirement for gravity to hold them to the side of a ball to argue against. So I've illustrated that to the best of my ability in discussion amongst the panel, with the main primary topic of discussion being whether or not structural support is a better way of describing incoherent dielectric acceleration, no, or any other non-gravity that's going to be offered up as an alternative. Now, just before the show started, John summarised this position by saying that, what did you say, John? There was a really good, concise summary to it at the end. I've forgotten what it was now.
I'm not making a claim about anything. I'm just challenging a claim that's being made. And if anything that any extraordinary claim requires extraordinary evidence.
No, that's not what it was, although that's true. What you were saying was if you describe gases as having, quote, structural support, then it's only one step away from saying, well, the support the structure applies to the gases means they can be ball-shaped. Why not? They've got structure. Why not ball-shaped structure? Right? That's where that leads. Now, the other primary concern for me is there's nothing to defend if you're a flat earther. What are you trying to defend? What are you trying to prove? If you win, let's say let's take it away from structural support and take it to incoherent dielectric acceleration. You start arguing for your incoherent dielectric accelerative force that gives you a downward bias that isn't really there. And the opponent has to have a force to hold him to the side of a spinning water ball. What do you win when you get to the end of the discussion? Have you proved that the Earth is a flat plane? No. What have you proved? What have you achieved? Go on.
Now they believe that they're held to the side of a spinning water ball by incoherent dielectric acceleration. That's all the best you could hope for in that discussion.
I'm glad you added that at the end. So the best you could hope for is that your opponent relinquishes his notions of gravity for the false idea that all things tend towards the ground because of the force of gravity, and replaces that incorrect idea of all things tending towards the ground with an incoherent dielectric accelerative force towards the ground. Okay, yeah, that's unlikely, but I see what you're saying. That's the best you can hope for.
That is the best you could hope for in that argument. because you're still on a sphere. There's still a downward bias. You've not achieved anything.
So what is the point of all this? What am I trying to get across to people? Well, once you've debunked gravity,
Okay, nobody was claiming incoherent dielectric acceleration.
it was an
I
example.
don't know where you're coming out with that.
Just an example. To stop people getting triggered, it obviously failed. Anyway, the point of this, the overarching point for me, is that once you understand all of these different arguments, be it incoherent dielectric acceleration, plasma, Earth moving up, Earth spinning, Earth having a non-force force that you can think of as a force, or mass attracting mass, or bending pseudo-force space-time, any of these discussion points related to gravity have no positive claim for you as a flat earther to need to defend. Now, you can invent one. You can say, oh, check it out. I don't have anything to defend in this regard. But if I make Earth move up, there's my claim I need to defend. Right, no, that's just as extraordinary as saying the Earth's spinning, or that there's a non-force force that you can think of as a force, because we're spinning and not flying off it. Yeah, there's no need to defend anything, until you invent something to start defending, like Earth moving up. But then you're just defending your own extraordinary claim and nothing else. Hey, Sleepy Warrior.
Hey.
Let's just ask the question. Is there any scientific evidence of gravity?
Well, today's review video is exactly about that with Joe Rogan and Neil deGrasse Tyson. And it's incredible what he says and doesn't say. But no, there is none.
Okay, as with always, go and let, who is this? JRE clip, so it's Joe Rogan himself. Let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. We responded to your video. Try and leave him some kind words so it doesn't immediately get removed. But we're going to check this out. I haven't actually leveled this up, so I'm going to have to do that on the fly.
The Joe Rogan
Well, when
experience.
Hold on.
Gravity. This is one thing that I
You're
wanted
still
to talk
hooked
to
up on gravity.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm always hooked up on gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Because
As you should be.
since we've talked last, I've been reading a lot about it, and one of the things that confuses me the most is that we don't really understand what gravity is.
It's the force that holds you to the side of the spinning water ball flying through a vacuum, Joe.
No, it's the maths that makes it possible.
Okay, let's be strictly accurate because Anthony's here. In the current rhetoric, superseded by quantum mechanics, of Einsteinian gravity, it is described as the cause being uneven distribution of mass, effect being bending pseudo-force space-time. That's what gravity is in the current rhetoric, Joe.
We know
And
it's
only maths.
Oh, Anthony's still here. Go on.
And it's only maths. That's all it is. It's the maths that makes it possible.
Yeah, pseudo
this-
geometry. Correct. Yes. Pseudo-force
The
space-time.
statement sorry.
Go ahead.
The
Go ahead.
statement I find funny coming from Smoking the Grass Tyson is the guy that's literally running around telling people, as far as what it is, we don't know. Is telling somebody else that they definitely need to be hooked up on gravity. The thing that he says, we don't know what it is. It's great.
Well, gravity formed the structure that we're standing on, guys. You need to understand that.
We're going to need to brush by this. Refocus. Your enemy is not your own. It's not here. Let's just be clear about that, John. Shout out to Elvis Kafovic. Scientific evidence of what? Yeah, gravity. Exactly. Let's not forget where we
Shout out to
started this
Travis.
discussion. Hey, Elvis, thank you for the super chat. Please share the show, by the way. Over 50 people watching already. We've only just started, so brilliant. Please share the show. Let's see if we can get to
So they're
150
using-
people. My bad. Let's see if we can get to 150 people. Please share the show before I get interrupted for the third time.
So they're using a mathematical description of a fourth dimension that we don't experience to explain our three dimensions?
Yes.
No
Exactly what we're doing.
The fourth
You still-
dimension is giving you a cause in third dimension. The effect of the fourth dimensional phenomenon is giving you a cause in the third dimension, and that's the emergent force that we describe with gravity. That's for you, Fight the Tight Shirt.
Effects, we can
No.
measure them. We
Hang on,
know
hang on.
how
Okay,
Notice-
if everybody on the panel wants to respond every time I pause, it's going to take a hell of a long time. But go ahead, 10th.
No, I'm just going
Hello.
to say at the
Hello, Ali.
beginning was very crucial because the way Neil deGrasse Tyson said, "You still hooked on gravity? You're still hooked up on gravity?" See, Joe Rogan is not clear about it, and then Tyson responds, "You're still hooked on gravity?" "Yeah, I'm always hooked on gravity." So it's very interesting. It's a tell to
As you
me,
should be.
Yeah,
as you should be.
right.
Okay.
Well, my point is the answers aren't clear, so that's why Joe Rogan is still hooked on gravity. He can't go to the next thing on the table because this thing is just not sounding right. That's
Okay.
all.
Because
How
Joe
to ma-
Rogan still believes he's stuck to the side of a spinning water ball flying around in a vacuum. So he needs whatever that is, whatever that word gravity is, he needs to understand it because he's got a story that goes with it.
Exactly.
Go ahead, sorry.
This does tie into the pre-show. Well done, Chocolate, for the final segue. Yeah, we don't have to defend anything because we aren't stuck to the side of a spinning water ball and need to make apologetics for it with gravity. He does, therefore he needs to understand it because he's stuck to a side of the spinning water ball. So it's probably best if he understands how that functions. And he doesn't. He doesn't understand it because it makes no sense.
Measure them. We know what that mass is involved, but we don't really know what gravity is.
There's a similar question in the book, but they got a little more philosophical than you just did. But they both lean philosophical. It's
Why is it what in the book? What book? Philosophical? What?
Hold on.
Why are we talking about philosophy? Isn't this physics?
Well,
Okay.
when he said mass, the minute Joe Rogan said, we know what mass is involved, but we don't know what gravity is. If mass is undefined, that's your problem. You've not defined your term.
Can you mute, please, Anthony? You just hear your dog growling.
science can describe how gravity works.
Sorry, science explains the cause of natural phenomena. You can describe, any idiot can describe something. Yeah, you don't need science for descriptions. That's English.
But can they describe why?
Explain. They explain cause and effect. Science explains the cause of an effect. Describing an effect, that's like natural law. You can describe something that happens. But in this instance, nothing's happening. What's happening? What's occurring? Do you even call it a phenomena in the first instance? And he's rattling off how science describes. No. Science explains.
It's
He
worse
just
than
said,
that.
well, he just said describe the why is what he just said when you
Yeah.
cut him off.
No, well, it's also his voice. Science can describe how gravity works, but why it works? Okay, see what he's doing there? I mean, he is just admitting he don't know nothing.
It works.
Can we?
So this is the how-why
Yeah.
duality here. And allow me to just answer it from a how-why point of view, and then we can apply it to gravity
Okay.
after I say that. In science, if we can describe how something works and predict its future behavior, we claim to understand it and we move on.
If you have explained the cause and effect supposition you had in your hypothesis, you have empirically proven it.
Well,
You
you
can
don't
have-
describe how and why. Hold on a
Nowhere does
second.
science say that. If we understand, what did he say? Just play that back again. Let's think about scientific method while we think about what he's just said. Play
Say
it back
that.
again, Nathan.
But before you do,
In science,
before you do,
if we can describe how something works and predict its future behavior, we claim to understand it and we move on.
That's not what science is.
you don't describe how. You don't describe how. You
You
explain.
give it a bit of a wiggle and prove it.
Yes.
No, you explain how. Not you don't describe how. That's nonsensical. It's malformed. It's incorrect grammar.
You give it a bit of a wiggle and you prove what the cause of the effect is. That's what you actually do in science.
But the problem is he's got to conjure a non-effect. So he needs to pepper in the idea of having science describe how and why. Yeah, okay. But in reality, as Anthony's just explained, you wiggle, that would be vary and manipulate as a researcher. That which you assume causes the effect you're studying. As I say, again, he doesn't have any effect to study.
You can ask deeper
Guys,
questions.
he's just describing his pseudoscience. He's not talking about actual science.
Yeah, it's describing his philosophy.
About it. Why is there gravity? What is the
What is it? You haven't defined it yet. Yeah, it's like me asking a baller, what is it? Yeah, you say this word like we automatically know what it is. Joe Rogan's asked you to describe what it is. But now we're automatically using the word without defining what it is.
meaning? What is the purpose?
fair.
And go ahead, but I'm good with what I've done, and I can land a spacecraft on Mars.
No, you can't. What, travel through a
Here we
second law of
go.
thermodynamics
You know what?
violation sky vacuum to reach a light in the sky that we see twinkling that we have named Mars? No, definitely not. If the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill the space.
Just listen to the way he's wording this now and how he can land rockets in space, and he literally sounds no different to the likes of Dawn Treader or Rumpus. He's literally becoming an anti-flat earther by talking like this.
He's also changed the way he wants to answer the question. So he's got a non-effect that he's trying to prove, and because he can't prove it, we go back to Narnia and say we landed something in Mars, and we would have to know how gravity works. That's how we did it.
But y'all are
The
giving him too
beautiful
much
part
credit
is-
at this point.
Sorry, John.
No, I'm just saying y'all are giving him too much credit. He doesn't even know what the meaning of the words he's using. If he said describe how, you don't describe how. That's the wrong
problem
word
is-
put together.
The problem he's got here is he doesn't want to say what gravity is, right? Because part of him wants to say it's mass attracting mass, and the other part of him wants to say, well, we know that's not true. It's actually bendy space-time and the uneven distribution of mass. But he doesn't want to say that either because he wants it to be mass attracting mass. So by not answering the question, he's allowing you to still think that it's mass attracting mass.
I think he's
I
all
don't-
right, but did you hear what Tent said? That's what he's doing. He's going right to Mars and saying we know how it works because look, we're on Mars.
I don't even think he's getting that complicated. I think he believes that he's in a position of authority. He's got a guy in front of him that is willing to believe whatever he says in order just to explain his paradigm. So he doesn't need to prove anything. He just has to say a couple of cool words, cool science words, and make the guy that he's talking to understand and stop asking the question, why? Or what is it? That's all it is. This is a trick.
Inside of a crater in a hole-in-one using my understanding of gravity, so I'm pretty good with it.
Your understanding, Joe's asking you to explain what it is. You've already incorporated it and gone to Mars through a sky vacuum second law of thermodynamics violation to say that you know what it is already. Well, that didn't achieve anything, did it? Let's just see if they cut to Joe Rogan and see him scratching his bald head.
Okay?
But that's
So
exactly
I'm-
my point. Sorry, Nathan.
That's all right.
I wanna go after
this is just a
Chuck.
funny one to me. This is exactly my point. What he's saying to him is that I don't need to explain the hows and whys. We know that we've used whatever this word is to land spacecrafts in craters. And that's it. And because I'm authority guy, you must believe me.
Yeah.
That's it.
He used the golfing term, a hole in one. That's when you hit one shot and it goes right in the hole. You don't have to hit another shot. So what he did, he went to Narnia, said, we sent something to Mars into a crater, and we couldn't have been successful without understanding gravity. And he's the chief priest of gravity at this point. And so what's Joe Rogan going to say? Is he going to say, well, isn't that a second law of thermodynamics violation? No, Joe Rogan doesn't know the arguments. Poor guy.
Not distracted by the more philosophical side of that. Why does it work? Okay. Einstein, so Newton was deeply puzzled by how you can have something called, in which he coined the phrase,
Starts off by Einstein. Newton was puzzled. Right? So we're going to
Well,
immediately...
this-
Go on. Sorry, in middle of my sentence interrupted you. My bad.
No, I apologize. I'm sorry.
It's
I
all
was
right.
gonna
Go ahead.
Make a joke. I was going to make a joke. It's not funny now. Sorry.
I'm ruining the joke then. That's really my fault. Be too serious.
phrase action at a
Everybody's
distance.
overzealous when it comes to this guy, so we got to calm down.
Indeed.
Okay? He wrote down the equation that
Who did, Newton or Einstein? We've heard both their names at the beginning of this amble.
worked. He wrote down the equation. The moon goes around the Earth, Earth goes on the sun. The
Wrote down the equation for something that's supposed to be physically occurring. So he's describing something conceptually. That's in mathematics.
Mathematically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mathematically.
he's going to prove it in the maths again. So he's going to go like F equals ma rather than Newton's first law of motion. He's going to talk about maths instead and apply the second.
moons of Jupiter go around Jupiter. He accurately described that with his equations of gravity.
Okay. Yeah.
He didn't, or did he?
But descriptions, right? They're not physical reality. And he didn't accurately describe them either. There was flaws and errors. So no.
Yeah.
Go on,
The
Anthony.
flaws are obviously the three body problem, right? They never talk about that three body problem, do they?
No, they just say that they accurately described it in a conceptual language. The physics of our world. But Joe Rogan's not going to pick up on the fact that what he's being given, he's obviously asking about the physics of gravity. That's what he's actually asking. What he's getting back is, well, the concept of gravity is, that's what he's getting back.
Okay. He said, one day I think we're going to find some way that they're connecting to each other, but I don't know what that is right now. But
All right, but yet this keeps us to the side of a spinning water ball, does it? Amazing. One day we might find out what the hell this is. But it definitely keeps us stuck to the side of a spinning water ball, even though we don't really even know what it is. I mean, he knows it's landing rockets on Mars, but simultaneously the guy who's coming up with the idea in the first instance doesn't really know.
but I know my equations work.
Work? What, like physically do work? No, they don't. You're talking about descriptions, concepts, philosophy. That's not physically doing work, is it? Go on, Anthony.
They work. They
They're not-
work. His equations work. Well, then they wouldn't be equations then. And we're not talking about mathematics, you dumbass cracker. Also, another thing, you guys missed it. You caught the describing how, but then he went, we can't describe why is. He said it like 3 times. So
They won't let me, John. They don't care about that stuff.
now you caught the describing how. He said 3 times, science can't describe why is. Like, why is my hand attached to the end of my arm? Does natural science do that?
No, it's outside of its remit.
No.
Hows and whys, no. That's descriptions.
No. Explain the hows, but the description and the explanations, he jumbled them up. What a friggin' idiot. But listen to what he said, describing the whys. Why is questions. Describe a why is question for us.
What, like, why is the sky blue?
It's not a
Why do my
describe.
arms come out of my torso and not my pinky toe? Look at this retard. I'm
They
the
call it spooky. It was
He's already
spooky to him. That's
given-
his word. Spooky action at a distance. All right. Fast forward.
Spooky action at a distance. He's gonna bring up George Musa now, saying gravity is not a force. Go on.
300 years. 300?
Wait a
No,
second.
Fast
Stop.
forward 200.
No one described what did he say? Spooky at a distance. Sorry, I just woke up. 300 years ago. Who
Spooky
did that?
action at a distance.
Who did that? Einstein coined that phrase. 300. Does he think Einstein was 300 years ago?
Einstein's ancestor.
Go on.
I think he's greasing the skids. So at some point he's going to claim Newton and Einstein are interchangeable, I think. And he's greasing the skids for that, I speculate. Quick shout
Now,
out.
instantaneous actions.
Say again.
Instantaneous actions at a distance 300 years ago. I don't even know if they had that phrase. Maybe they did. Maybe Newton did, right? Because his gravity was instantaneous. So instantaneous action at a distance, you follow?
Yeah, but he's not
Remember
saying
the
that.
water?
He said spooky. you're right in your first critique, but I think he's intentionally diluting the two together. Quick shout out to Godzilla37. He says, seems NDT doesn't understand the gravity of the situation. Thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
But what is Newton? Newton described the how is, and Einstein described the why is. Guys, like, see, I got to say my joke anyway.
Yeah, I don't think so.
230 years. Get to Albert Einstein. Gravity is the curvature of space and time.
Nathan, can you find that back? Because we rumpused them.
Yeah, and he said 230 years. What's he referencing? Because that number's not a number I've come across before.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
You just want 10 seconds previous.
Yeah, go do pull a J.
230 years. Get to Albert Einstein.
Pull another J.
Fast forward 300 years. 300? No. Fast forward 230 years. Get to Albert Einstein.
What?
Gravity is the
He hasn't been able to do it on the fly with a camera in front of his face. I think it's just a mental maths issue. I can relate.
He's fast forwarding from Newton to Einstein in his brain.
Oh, is that what he's doing? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
curvature of space and time. And you're moving on the curvature of that fabric.
What fabric?
What? Yeah, exactly. Took the words out of my mouth. What fabric would that be? Sorry, the pseudo four space-time fabric. See, fabric sounds very much like a physical three-dimensional thing, doesn't it? Like a piece of fabric that you'd stretch out, maybe throw some balls on it. Yeah? But that's a three-dimensional physical item. But you're telling him, Joe Rogan, that he's moving along a fourth-dimensional, let's get the terminology right, pseudo four-space fabric. Pseudo. That's the geometry described by Einstein. Pseudo fabric. No, he's not travelling on any pseudo fabric there, Tyson. What are you talking about? Is this your philosophy? Yeah, I thought it was clear. I thought Joe Rogan was asking about the physics. There's you giving him your philosophy of travelling on pseudo fabrics. Don't like this at all. Shout out to Godzilla 37. He says, thanks, Chocolate, for the courtesy laugh. But I'll maintain. Someone had to say it. Thank you for the super chat.
I got you, bro.
Oh, I didn't put the chat up. There we go.
I just wanted to point out that the according to Wikipedia, the Principia was first published in 1687, and Einstein was 1915. 1687 to 1915 is not 200 and some years. I don't know what he's referring to.
We got that. It's just a mental maths misspeak. It's really a minor point. He didn't have that in front of him, and you've had to go look it up and then do the maths, haven't you? He just couldn't. Go on.
So if that was you that did that, Nathan, or John, or one of us, right? All the anti-blurfs they'd all be putting videos about how you can't math, right? But when Neil deGrasse Tyson does it, we let it go.
He's got a point there.
I didn't let it go. It's a minor point, like Nathan said, but an important point because he should know it. So
Agreed. But the point I'm making is the anti-blurfs jump all over it if Nathan or I do it. But when Tyson does it, no one gives a shit.
I just agreed with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's also further agreed and said, no, I have made a mental note of this. He should damn well know. You know, meters into kilometers is different to something that's fundamental to the religion that you're actually laying down in the claim. My bad.
My bad.
1915 minus 1687 is 228.
Yeah, thanks. But is he going from the Principia or from Newton's death? See how we're going? We're spiraling. Who cares? Move on.
Who cares?
That's gravity. Oh my gosh.
You all clear now, Joe? You all clear? So just to summarise his point so far, because he knows what gravity is, because he's landed rockets on Mars, and because Newton didn't really know what the hell he was talking about, but one day he might find out, and we've got a fabric that you're travelling along, that's what gravity is. Are you all clear, Joe? Please cut to Joe's face.
Is it even a force then? Is it even... So there's no need to think of...
So now he's all exasperated about how this would obviously raise a lot of questions and hasn't answered anything. So what, you're
No, we've just-
exasperated, over the top, over the dramatic. Oh, well, this means it could not be a force. No. All you were supposed to do is deliver a physical answer about a physical property of a physical thing that Joe was asking about. And you haven't given him any of that. You told him he's travelling on a fabric, he's travelling to Mars, therefore you know because Newton didn't. That's what you've given him.
Nathan, just ping that back 10 seconds again and listen to what he's about to say about gravity and a force. He's about to say words to the effect of, and gravity, and whether gravity is a force or not. And he should be saying something like, and of course gravity is not a force. We know it's not a force. But he quickly changes his position and goes, shit, I can't say that. Just replay that last 10 seconds again.
And you're moving on the curvature of that fabric. That's gravity. Oh my gosh, is it even a force then? Is it even, so there's no need to think of it as an action at a distance. And in a phrase first uttered by...
He swerved it. He swerved it.
So why did you describe it like that then? Why did you give him that information? What was the point of it? Baffle him with bullshit. That's what he's doing. He's asked about some physicality. He's baffled him with bullshit. Whoever's doing that, please stop.
I think it was John Archibald Wheeler, a student of Einstein. And I learned relativity from John Archibald Wheeler. In fact, that's where I met my wife, in relativity class in graduate school. It's space. So matter tells space how to curve. The
reification fallacy. Okay, so in the actual description of Einsteinian pseudo-force space-time bending, the uneven distribution of mass causes space-time to bend. Why is it that I don't have to stammer my way through it, and he is? Why is that, you ask yourself? Yeah, because there's a lot of issues that he's got to get through conceptually when he describes this conceptual 4D space-time bending. When he says that mass tells it to. Ugh.
Concepts can speak.
It's a reification fallacy.
Space tells matter how to move.
No, it doesn't.
They're having a conversation.
It moves on.
Yeah, it's having a little natter, having a little gossip. It updates its status on Facebook.
On the curvature of space. You don't need an action at a distance. There is no...
So why did you tell him all about it then? So that little amble about it was non sequitur, completely devoid of any point, didn't answer his question about the force of gravity holding to a spinning water ball.
Action. It can't do anything else but do that.
He just killed Newton.
Yeah, he did just kill Newton.
Sorry to interrupt, but he just killed Newton. So he didn't need any action at a distance. Goodbye, Newton. Because that's what his formula is, or that's what in the Principia. That's why I always say when they try to derive or reduce down Einstein's field equations to Newton, that's a bunch of horse shit. Because if that were true, then that would reduce down to a special relativity debunking. This is classic. Please continue.
Go on, John. Oh, refraction.
I was just going to say he also murdered the English language several times in this. Like so many syntax errors that it's not even funny.
Right. Shout out to Elvis Kafovic, who says, "What a wizard." Yeah, he is. That's his main talent. That's what he's there for. His astrophysics capabilities are irrelevant. Spinning out this magic trick linguistically is what he's actually doing. And that is his skill. That's his main skill. He's a magician. Go ahead.
May I comment? Yeah, the summary I'm getting so far is they made up a story. They needed something. They made up that story. That story lasted a while. Then they made up another story. Now that story's going, but now that story's being changed. And so because the whole thing is based on a spinning water ball in space, they need gravity to keep everything together. But gravity has been elusive to define or prove because it doesn't exist. So all these stories keep changing. And you could tell just the way Neil deGrasse Tyson couldn't answer the question directly to Joe Rogan, that he had to give a little history lesson. Well, Newton this, but then we found out this, and then we found, it's like, what? It doesn't even exist in the first place. That's why you keep changing. It's a force. It's not a force. It's a bending of space-time. What? How do you bend time? Show me time in the box.
It's like asking someone to describe what a car is, and like you wouldn't describe a car by going back to the first ever like Model T Ford. You just point them a picture of a Mondeo or a Taurus and say that's a car. Like, why do you have to know about the historical background of how the evolution of a car came into existence to know what a car is? Just tell us what gravity is as per current science. That'll shut up a lot of anti-flat earthers if he did, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not
but
adhering.
all
That's
of that
why.
is consequential, though.
That's why it's being
right?
disseminated
Because-
through someone like Joe. So instead of doing what we do, there's no adherence here to the Socratic method, is there? That's what's lacking. But, you know, Joe Rogan isn't well versed with how to go through the steps of the Socratic method with the person sat opposite with him. So he can take him through the steps of La La Land, magicry and wizardry in linguistics, rather than just define the words he's using so that Joe understands what that means and they have an agreement in a Socratic way about what they're talking about. But he's taken him into 3D mass attracting mass, taken him out of it to say it doesn't work, told him he's on a fabric, and told him that we go to Mars and that's gravity. Like, let's start defining a few terms here. But no, that's why he's sat in front of Joe Rogan.
But
Go on,
all of
Chocolate.
that is just consequential because he doesn't need any of that. He's already got cool stories that he could pass off, so he can lay out a beautiful affirming the consequent fallacy. We've gone to Mars. We've put a spacecraft on Mars, therefore gravity exists. Right? We know it exists because we put a spacecraft on Mars. We put a spacecraft on Mars, therefore gravity exists. After that, everything else is just a cool story that backs up what he just said.
But just so you got something to chew on, you're on a 4D fabric. There you go. Done.
You go to the beginning of the video, Joe Rogan says, gravity, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, you still hooked up on gravity. Yes, I'm still hooked up on gravity, which means this isn't their first discussion, and he wasn't satisfied the first go around, and I don't think he'll be satisfied after this one.
We've seen very little of Joe's reactions, which is what I would have really liked to have seen. You know, the frowns and stuff when he's listening to these explanations, but we haven't really got any of Joe Rogan's facial expressions in reaction to what Tyson's telling him. Like you say, on the second go around.
It's like you have a funnel and you take a ball and you roll it on the funnel.
So it's a fabric that you're traveling on. Okay, let's just picture a fabric. I described it earlier like a piece of fabric that you stretch out. Okay, so that fabric is now a funnel. Well, hold on, a funnel's not a fabric. What? Fabric funnel? Why did you say it was a fabric if it's a funnel?
The ball...
It doesn't matter as long as you reify it into something that is concrete and will actually work in the person who he's talking to's brain, which is Joe Rogan.
The other thing that they never do with this description when they say things like, think of it as a funnel, that's... If you're going to think of it as a funnel, right, you only ever do it in one orientation, right? But it's got infinite orientations around that.
Just
that
stop,
object,
just stop. No. Jumping the gun way too much. Think of it as a funnel. Okay. Just said, let's stick to Socratic method. Let's detail what we're actually talking about. Oh, it, that's a bit vague. So what is it that we will be describing as a funnel? Maybe you can tell me, Anthony, what it, that would be the thing we're going to be describing as a funnel, is precisely. What is it that we'll be describing as a funnel?
Gravity.
Very well done.
The fabric. The fabric is the funnel.
The one I imagined I'm on.
It.
Yes.
No, that's still not it. Keep going.
It's just been made into it by Mr. Reification Fallacy, Smoking Grass Tyson.
Okay.
So it is it now.
So the fabric's the funnel. Okay, continue.
Image in Master D, Nathan.
Can only do what that funnel tells it to do, and it'll...
Oh, God.
So the funnel is the fabric, and the fabric is it. And it hasn't been defined, but it is telling the fabric of the funnel what to do.
And that's gravity.
If you give it a sideways motion, it'll start spinning around.
It will start spinning around if you give it a sideways motion. Okay, let's just pause, take a step back, and say, no worries. That sounds like something I can do with it, which isn't defined yet. So what am I going to be doing And how am I going to be doing it? And what is it that I'm going to be doing that to? Because apparently if I give it a sideways motion, okay, let's see Joe Rogan doing that. Let's see Joe Rogan giving it a sideways motion, even though we don't know what it is yet.
There's no magic hand coming in there?
Oh, is there not? Is that how the magic trick works? When the guy's standing with his shiny waistcoat? There's no magic trick here. What the hell is it? Because you've just told Joe Rogan he can give it a sideways motion, so I'd like to see that, not be told that there's no magic trick going on with a magic hand that's going to be giving it a sideways motion, because I suspect there is very much a magic hand giving imaginary it a sideways motion.
But there
It
is
is follow-
magic. But there is magic fabric and a magic funnel. That was the it. That was the first it. Now we got another it that's spinning around, right? We have a whole bunch of its.
And we got a magic speed. Let's not forget.
I think that's a different it.
Following the curvature of its space-time continuum.
Oh, we're following the space-time of it. So when you said we could give it a sideways motion, if we were following it in a fourth-dimensional pseudo-realm that we don't exist in, we could give it a sideways... No, we couldn't. See, that's all conceptual, Mr. Tyson. I mean, we'd have to have a magic hand in this conceptual mess in order to move it sideways. But you just said it wasn't a magic hand, you liar. We can only stir this with a magic hand because it's non-physical. So there absolutely must be a magic hand to move it sideways because it is not physical.
What's it? What are we moving sideways?
It's not undefined, Neil. Undefined. We don't know. He hasn't told us, even though that's specifically what he's being asked. What gravity is. Well, he's talking about gravity, saying we can move it sideways if we follow it in a fourth-dimensional pseudo-realm. Okay, clear as crystal.
This construct that you provided for it.
Sorry, did Joe provide the construct that he's giving a sideways motion with his magic hand? When did Joe provide this construct? Joe, do you want to ask yourself that? When did you provide this? Did you? I didn't see Joe providing us with any construct. Did I miss that bit? Am I going nuts? Did I miss the part where he developed a construct for us?
Yes, he did, because Joe Rogan didn't challenge anything. So whatever Tyson said, now it's Joe Rogan's.
So now, I can describe what gravity is doing. I even have a mechanism for it.
Do you? Where did that come from? All I had was a magic hand stirring a conceptual medium. That's a fabric, that's a funnel. That's what I got from that. You kidding me? Now you've got a mechanism. Where did that come from?
Well, the fabric in the funnel.
Are you going to
is
still
the
ask?
mechanism.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, say again. The fabric in the funnel.
Yes, the fabric in the funnel is the mechanism, and that's gravity.
Ask
Can
me
you
why is-
replay that part? Hang on, Nathan. Don't miss this part. Classic begging the question. Now we can describe what gravity is doing. You haven't even proven gravity, but you're going to describe it. So you already got us in Narnia. You already got us gravity. We're going to Mars, doing a hole-in-one in the crater, doing all that, but you haven't even described, proven it yet. We're in Narnia here.
So now, I can describe what gravity is doing. I even have a mechanism for it. Are you going to still ask me why is there gravity?
No, we're not asking why, you fucking clown. Sorry. You see what he did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He switched it to describing the whys. Describing whys and ises. He thinks he's clever. This remedial retard.
It's
What an
funny because
embarrassment.
sorry. I was just gonna say it's funny because this is not the first time he's kind of made it seem like why do people keep asking him why with gravity, even though that's not what they're asking him, but he takes it to there and then wants to run away from it. Because you see how he sounded just now? Oh, so you're still gonna ask me why after all the nonsense I just told you? How dare you?
My response, no, not at all. I'm not going to ask the why of gravity. What is it exactly? Didn't you listen to the fabric of the funnel of the spooky action at a distance that isn't Newtonian because he was wrong? Didn't you understand any of that? No, it made no sense. None of it made any sense. He didn't show me anything. I didn't stir anything. I didn't give anything a sideways motion. I didn't create a construct. None of that happened. So my question remains, would be my response if I was Joe. What the hell is it?
Is that answer not fulfilling enough to you? Even
No, it's useless. See if Joe has the same reaction.
in the why department. You can say, well, why would a particle curve space? You can just keep doing that.
You can, but space in this example is a fourth dimensional pseudo realm. So you can ask yourself why Nani and unicorn farts create subtropical climates in short distances. You can ask that. You can just keep asking. Have I not explained the Nani and unicorn farts and the subtropical climates they create? Have I not answered this? That's what he's doing. It's not clever.
No, but he's switched it to why. No one's asking that, Neil. No one's asking the why. You just made it up so you can get away. What a moron. Go ahead.
Yeah, but why didn't he challenge him, though? Why didn't he say, I did not ask why? I asked, what is gravity?
But you're asking me why a sycophant, that's Joe Rogan, isn't interjecting with an objection. Because he's a sycophant.
I was just going to say that. Like, you must not listen to Joe Rogan very much. Because it challenged these authorities that he has on, especially this one, apparently.
Not since Eddie Bravo. So yes, touche.
Well, Eddie Bravo is not an authority in the mainstream paradigm that he believes in, remember.
No, I have not listened to it since Eddie Bravo. So I don't listen to Rogan. But go on, go ahead.
I just define it. Sycophant, a person who acts ostensibly, I hope I've said that right, towards someone important in order to gain advantage. That's a sycophant.
Oh, he's a kiss ass.
Got to define it. It's a good word.
That's fine. But is there a point where you'll be satisfied with the answer? Oh, that answers my why.
We didn't ask why.
I can say, well, why did this half-liter of water drop?
No one's asking why. You're making that up in your own mind. No one's asking why, you crayon crunching clown. It's a stupid question. It's a category error.
I'll go with it. I'll go with this category error. So, I mean, I've got an example. I mean, it's not like I've just heard the last 3 words he said or anything. But I've got a helium balloon in my hand. And I'm holding it right now. And I'm going to ask why it goes up when I let go of it. Just asking. I mean, it's not got any bearing on this particular discussion because it's nothing to do with concepts of pseudo-4 space-time bending. And neither is your 3-dimensional bottle you're about to release from its fall arrest after picking it up.
Off the edge here. Well, it's no longer, the forces are imbalanced. And it's no, but why did it fall? Well, there's nothing holding it up. Why did it?
It didn't fall because you didn't drop it. Did it? Now, my helium balloon definitely went up.
There's a point where it's not especially productive to continue to think about the world that way.
So what he's telling Joe Rogan is, don't worry your precious little head about it, sunshine. That's what he's basically just told you. Yeah, don't worry about this. It's not conducive with a good life to keep worrying yourself with such things, Joe. So just go about your business knowing that gravity took us to Mars because spooky action at distance and the non-description of Newtonian gravity was proven wrong. Therefore, you're on a fabric. That's a funnel. There you go. It's not conducive with having a good life. Just don't worry your precious little head about it, Joe.
Well, we're back to the beginning we're back to the beginning where it says you're still hooked on gravity. So Joe is concerned because Joe's asking what, and Neil, as Kiyoya said, is going to the why to transition away from ever proving it.
I'm with Tyson on this one. Don't worry your precious little head about it, Joe.
What I'm claiming is answers to the how. When you understand the how enough.
Was anybody asking how? How gravity?
Are tantamount to having answered the why question.
Knuckle dragger.
That's all. That's what I'm telling you.
Tantamount in terms of the ability to measure it and accurately use it.
Measure it?
Measure what?
Measure what?
And this is what.
It? What's
And
it?
this is
What are you asking about measuring, Joe, there? It. Do you want to define some of these terms? Measure what? Yeah?
Correct. So we can say, okay.
But isn't it still?
Oh, so he's correct. So it's about measuring it. Let's see it. Then we'll measure it.
Got a bald head.
Curious.
We can say, well, why did you go bald? Well,
Man, low
What?
blow. Low blow.
Is that what he said?
Why would you go there? Low blow.
oh, okay. The hair follicles when you start in your late 20s and early. When did you go bald? When did you start losing your hair? Probably.
Oh,
Well,
bald.
take it to something really personal to the guy. This is a guy who's had a hair transplant, right? Now, as I'm losing my hair currently, it's just one thing that guys do. I can appreciate that this is going to be personal to him. Now, I've heard Joe Rogan go through stories of having a massive scar at the back of his head for a botched hair transplant. So he's going to something that's caused Joe physical pain and mental anguish to make his example about gravity. You bastard. What a bastard.
No, because he's causing Neil deGrasse Tyson physical pain by just asking a question.
Oh, sure.
Well, Neil went through explaining that you shouldn't be asking how or why to him, and his way of agreeing with him was to say measure it, like measure how, why. I don't under this entire
What's it?
conversation doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense.
What? Now,
None of
let's it. We're still back on the it.
Yep. What's
Yeah,
it?
none of it makes sense. It's not English. Whatever they're speaking is not English.
It's double speak.
Probably late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's common. If you have your hair when you're 30, you'll probably have it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm finding that out the case.
That's how that goes. You start
Now
losing.
is he? What is he now? Hair transplant expert, or he's an expert in hair growth?
It's just
Is that
pulling on
where
the
we're going?
pulling on the emotional strings, really getting his attention where he may have been drifting off because we couldn't see his reactions. Neil's a good magician. He's going to be reading the reactions of the person he's describing this to. And he's obviously read he's not really buying this, or he's not reacting in the way I want him to. I need to get him more passionate. So that's what he's doing. I don't like it.
Isn't this
He's an
where chocolate?
alopecia. Is he an alopecia expert now? He's gravity expert now on the alopecia.
Yep,
I think
certainly
this
seems
is
to be.
where chocolate needs to come in with the snatch your wig off.
Well,
it.
the thing is, though, by making this personal, now when someone challenges Joe about it, he's going to, in his mind, combine the two. And if they challenge his understanding of gravity, he'll feel like they're calling him bald.
Yes,
Exactly.
That's a much better way of summarizing it. Yes, he's tying something that is emotionally charged to his description of a pseudo space-time bending that's a fabric, that's a funnel, that's not the Newtonian description that was proven wrong. Therefore, how, why, and how much we can measure how, why. Yeah, this isn't English.
Right, going
That's
up
what I
till you're
said.
30.
It's causing him
So
pain.
you can say, well, the hair follicle begins to not producing the keratin or whatever. We get the explanation. Then you say, well, why does the hair follicle stop doing that? Then you say, oh, well, because the DNA has it pre-coded about the hair kind of thing. Well, why does the DNA have the hair? Well, because.
What the hell was that?
He's trying to use something that you can prove, the what, and relate it to gravity, which you can't. And he's using hair and going bald. It's a parlor trick.
But like I said, this is not the first time he's done this. He's kind of trying to make asking the question why, turning it into like a infinite regress fallacy or something.
Yes.
You could just keep asking why.
Because so.
Right, but we know far more about how and why people go bald than we do about what gravity really is.
Good answer.
Oh,
Joe's all over this. Kudos.
Got him.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Correct?
I'm telling you, gravity really is the curvature of space and time.
Wait. Oh, so we don't know what it is? Now it's definitely the curvature of space-time, the fabric in the funnel. Thanks.
So that makes it definitely conceptual then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely pseudo for space-time bending then. Definitely the pseudo-Riemannian space-time described in an abstract concept that we don't exist in. Yes, so definitely not real. So unlike your hair, it's not real.
Yeah, but
So
he couldn't come right
gravity
out and say
is-
it.
So gravity is the curvature of space-time. No, it's not. The curvature of space-time is the curvature of space-time. That's not gravity. What the hell?
That gets us the Big Bang and everything we've ever
The
known and
curvature of
loved.
space and time, but it's also based on mass, right? It's based on the amount of mass.
Any
an object
concentration of
has.
matter and energy or energy will curve the fabric of space and time.
Whoa, he's gone to Newton.
No, he hasn't gone to Newton. He's absolutely still within the confines of the mass, the distribution thereof, and the space-time that it will bend as a result. He's got his cause and effect within Einsteinian pseudo-concepts of 4D space-time. It's still very much in Einstein's realm, but he's staying within the abstract conceptual. He's staying within it as opposed to trying to juxtapose it with something physical like hair growth. And Joe, props to you, has just cut it off at the knees. So his fallback is to define it there and then, because his juxtaposition with hair growth failed, thanks to Joe. I've got to give him props for that. That was about as concisely as he could cut that off at the knees, and he did so. But now he's pandering to him again, so...
And the more mass,
and
the
the
more
movement
gravity.
of matter on that fabric of space and time.
There is no movement of anything on a conceptual fabric of space-time. It's a 4D pseudo-concept describing maths. You're now mixing up physicality with non-physical pseudo-concepts in maths. Outrageous. Good.
I gotta ask a question. Is he saying that things are attracted to mass? I don't get what he's saying there. Maybe I don't understand.
He's describing the Einsteinian concepts of uneven distribution of mass, whatever that is, causing the bending of the fourth dimension. That is Einsteinian gravity. Now, the description in the book titled Gravity has within it a further description of a cause and effect relationship. That's uneven distribution of mass causing bending in 4D space-time. Now, when QE says that's not gravity, the bending of space-time as defined simplistically as Einstein didn't, isn't gravity, as NDT just tried to define it in response to a failed juxtaposition with hair growth. We're actually getting somewhere now. This is getting slightly more juicy with Tyson having to talk through Joe because he knows that he's at least slightly formidable. He's got to talk through him.
Time we call gravity. And I'm good with that.
Okay, but you seem a little oddly defensive about something that's scientific.
Did he claim it was scientific? Oh yeah, he did, didn't he, right at the beginning? Told him what science did. With hows and stuff.
Did
No,
you
I
pick
just sound
that
good
up?
with
I like that notion that even Joe Rogan, Tenf was just gonna say it, picked up that. Why are you getting so defensive about something that you should gladly want to explain to everybody, right? About something that's supposed to be scientific. You're a science communicator. Why are you getting so defensive?
Because
And
you
that's
can't
that's
defend-
not coming from a flat earth. That's coming from a glober, someone
Right.
who's coming to him for the answers. That's hilarious. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, no, right, exactly. So he can't prove it. He can't defend it. And then he ends up the statement by saying, "Bending of space-time. I'm good with that." Well, you seem to be getting a little tense.
Good with the conception?
Yeah,
That's classic.
Very much shrugged shoulders, down in the mouth demeanor, short responses followed by "I'm good with that." I don't, in terms of sort of what he presented in body language, Joe, with his shoulders back, seeming much more dominant in this discussion. Yeah, why are you being so defensive? There's no need for it. You just should be explaining what gravity is, not well. It's the bending of space time, and I'm good with that.
with the.
But you are, because you're kind of defending it.
No, you can say, well,
Defending
why does matter?
Why do you need to know why?
No, why
That's what you're
does
saying.
No, I'm saying why does matter and energy curve the fabric of space and time?
Doesn't. Matter and energy doesn't bend pseudo for space time. I mean, it might in maths, it might in Einstein's conceptions, but in reality, it does not. This is wrong.
You can ask that.
You can ask that, and we can answer it. where you are not, which is to say that no, matter and energy aren't bending a pseudo four space-time because that isn't real.
Okay, why?
And I don't have an answer for that. I can say,
Well, that's all I'm asking.
well, no, what I'm telling you is,
Okay, you don't need to know why.
I got you to the point.
Right?
We had to walk.
I led you through the la-la land of nonsense, and I'm telling you that you need to understand that la-la land nonsense and then not worry your
This is
precious little head about it.
hilarious.
Worry about your baldness.
To that point
Yes.
where your why got unanswered.
I understand that, but
But before we got to that point, I answered otherwise.
I'm not disputing that.
Good, good. So what I'm telling you is that I can answer your why question most of the time, but then you'll come back to a point where there's the why doesn't have the answer.
Yeah, chocolate, you called it. Taking him to the infinite greengrass and saying, you're just like a child asking why.
So
Yep.
you say, why did it fall? And I say there's a force of gravity operating on it.
Why did it fall? My example had a helium balloon, Tyson. You know, your bottle didn't fall because you didn't push it off the table. Yeah, you forgot that part of your magic trick, didn't you? You didn't drop the bottle. It stayed exactly where it was, but for the fact that you moved it around a bit. Now, in the case of a helium balloon, yeah, when I release the helium balloon, it will go up. So you're now asserting to Joe that he needs to understand your doublespeak nonsense contradictions about travelling to Mars, therefore knowing what gravity is because of things moving down? No, not all things move down.
Why did it fall that way? Because
It went up. My balloon. Your bottle didn't go down. You didn't drop it. I mean, if you had, it would be you doing it. But it didn't do that. It remained exactly where it was. But the balloon that I had to immediately compare and contrast to your bottle that didn't go anywhere, it went up. So in our two examples, did I forget to put the camera on when I did my balloon? Oh, it doesn't matter. I definitely did it. In my example, my balloon, that's definitely not imaginary, did definitely go up. Unlike your actual real bottle on camera that didn't go anywhere. So you're asking why the bottle went down? It didn't. But the balloon did go up.
of the curvature of space and time. I mean,
So the balloon went up because of the space and time curving. That's a pseudo concept that isn't real and has no effect in physical reality. Yeah, it's not affected by matter and energy. It's just nonsense because it's pseudo. It's described by the person who invented it as pseudo. It's a pseudo geometry, pseudo-Riemannian force space time. That's what's being bent. That's got no effect on my physical reality. None.
I'm answering your
That would
whys.
make
I understand.
sense.
Again.
That would make sense since this is all pseudoscience, what they're talking about, the pseudo geometry. Why not?
I love the pushback though right now. It's kind of funny that somebody that's on his own side is asking further questions, and he's becoming obviously disturbed by it when literally his job is to run around the world and teach people about this shit. This is very funny back and forth right now.
He's being defensive because Joe's real hair loss is compared to pseudo hair loss.
You're right.
Then, well, why does matter and energy curve space and time? Okay, that's a frontier.
Why?
We're still working on that.
We're working on that.
Why? Well, he's already begged the question. It's there. Don't argue. We're still working on it, but that's the pivot point because Newton's wrong. So Einstein's math makes more sense because we can't prove it in the first place.
Doesn't the statement
all.
we're still working on that kind of debunk everything he said prior?
You're missing the whys.
I'm asking.
That's good.
Why,
That's
why,
fine.
why,
You
why,
are-
why? He switched the conversation over earlier to all whys. Why for what? What's he talking about?
Why what? Well, why it does this when you move it. What's it?
What?
Man of science. So you're a person that should.
No, Joe. Neil deGrasse Tyson is most assuredly not a man of science. If he was, he'd have some empiricism to offer you here. He has none.
Probably embrace whys.
Except many people who ask why questions, they really want to know purpose.
Oh, I'm not asking purpose.
Good. Well, then that distinguishes you from
curious.
many other people who ask why questions.
Nice
Oh, okay.
stereotype.
I don't
No,
think-
we're not asking why questions.
No, he's not. But Joe's fallen for it.
We're asking what is questions, then how, not why questions. Sunshine.
I don't know if there's
Yeah,
purpose
Didn't
for
he
anything.
just stereotype fallacy him, Joe? Like many people that ask why or purpose, and Joe is immediately, I don't need purpose. Just ask him why. Why is he stereotyping people on his own side?
He's pivoting again away from the actual question that QE just said, what is, then how is, to why, now purpose. Now he's gonna get philosophical.
Why did you bang the table? I was angry. There's
Right.
there's a purpose
Yeah,
behind it.
That
Okay.
seems,
So
yeah.
if your why is just a curiosity of what's going on, that's one thing. If you are inquiring about purpose, then it's theological, okay? Because when you're theological,
No one's inquiring about that, Neil.
No.
then
Told me
religion,
that.
Not being able to describe what and explain how. You crayon crunching clown.
give purpose to life.
Clearly, I'm not doing that.
Right.
But I just think it's amazing that something that's such a massive part of life on this planet.
Zero part of life on this planet, none whatsoever. His only example was a bottle not dropping, to go on to describe how it moves towards the ground when it didn't. It's not fundamental to anything. You've not witnessed anything happen at all, and he even attempted to describe a demonstration he was giving you where nothing happened.
That we stayed glued to the ground because of.
Oh, right, like my helium balloon. Did it stay glued to the ground there, Joe? No, it floated off into the sky, like with the clouds that also float off from the ground upwards. So what is this stick to the ground nonsense? Oh, are you under the misapprehension that all things tend towards the ground? Au contraire.
No, he's under the apprehension that we're a spinning ball and you need to stick to the ground, and that's where he's coming from, but he doesn't really understand it.
Of gravity.
Can you pull up my Instagram account? I only post.
Do you have an Instagram account now? Because you had a fake one for a while.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
took it
friend of
over.
Mine, actually, I know the guy.
I took it over.
He gave it to you?
Oh, the guy who had it?
Yeah.
No. Actually, sorry. I went to Instagram and said, people think this is
Oh, God.
a real account
Yeah.
and it's not. Can I have it back? And if it's an account that's an imposter and
Yes.
followers don't know it,
Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. End quote, George Musa. That's what I'm going to disseminate in between this bollocks about Instagram.
it's illegal.
Right.
So there's one that says fan of Neil Tyson.
Yes.
And that's a different one. Okay.
That's the guy I
Okay.
know.
So I only post art house photos, okay, that I've taken, most of which I've taken. So just scroll down and look for Muscle Beach. There it is. Click on that.
Oh, another little jab. Here we go. Something that he knows is close to Joe Rogan's heart as an ex-fighter. Let's have a look at bodybuilders. So where are we going with this, magician Tyson? Let's see which heartstrings you're trying to pull on this time.
Okay, so here's my go to my caption. Go full screen on that. Remember my caption. Okay. For most of our life on Earth, we either resist or succumb to the force of gravity.
What? Do we?
The Force. Didn't he go through a whole slew of crap to tell him how it's the curvature of space-time?
How very appropriate that in between, while he talked about Instagram, I gave a quote from George Musa that made it explicitly clear that gravity is not a force. But yet this Instagram quote tells you all about how this force is affecting you when it's not a force. So you're just another bullshitter on Instagram then, talking shit like everybody there.
Is it a force in Newton's gravity?
Yes.
So he is going back to Newton. So he does flip-flop back and forth.
At Muscle Beach, gravity loses every time.
What the hell does that mean? So what? It's having a
Why
little...
did he?
Go on.
I was gonna say, why did he have to go to Muscle Beach? Apparently, he said every time you get up off the couch, you just defeated the Earth gravity. That's his
gravity?
little story.
His
Yeah, back to that. But yeah,
His-
he's literally said that before. anytime you get up from something or anything that defies gravity, you just defeated it.
I
It's such
think
a
where
weak force. That's not.
I think
force.
where he's going is that bottle was sitting there on the table. He picked it up, so he beat gravity.
Yes.
Okay. And while I held onto my helium balloon,
That's not true.
I was proud of that caption. You call me out on that caption?
That's nonsense. Gravity never loses. Gravity doesn't even have like little tiny losses. It's not like there's a war and gravity loses a battle.
For those just listening,
yeah, what you're saying, Joe, is this is a reification fallacy. So although he doesn't understand that terminology, that's what he's saying in his exasperation towards Neil deGrasse Tyson here. He's saying, that's a reification. Gravity's not losing anything. In other words, it's not a man fighting a dragon to lose a battle with. Reification fallacy. Correct.
Sounds like he's defending.
But
it
that's
now.
what he hasn't.
No, he's stating that gravity doesn't have anything to lose because it isn't anything. It doesn't have anything.
No, he's gone back into the paradigm that it's a force because Neil deGrasse Tyson, instead of answering these questions earlier, decided to tell them about Instagram and go off this direction, that direction. And now we're talking about something that's completely, that literally, if you're going to be honest about it, has absolutely nothing to do with the curvature of space-time.
Right. Where was the bending of space-time being overcome, if that's what you're alluding to? Not that bending space-time's a force.
In the funnel.
Yeah. Where's the fabric? Where's the funnel?
listening to this, so I was in Venice, California, and the sun was setting behind some guy who was doing
hand
presses.
Yeah, you see, clever magician. Didn't matter what he was doing. If Joe had said curls, he'd have said curls. He just wanted to be led by Joe so that Joe's leading him to a certain extent in this discussion. I say it with a wry smile because that's skill, what he just did there. As a magician. Yeah? As a master of linguistics. That was skillful.
Suspended up on the...
He's not answering anything about space-time. That's the point.
You think that was skillful with hand presses?
No. What was skillful in that was leading Joe to give part of the input of Neil deGrasse Tyson's explanation. So he's giving an example, but he obviously has picked this specifically because it's tailored towards Joe Rogan in his lifestyle, right? So it's specific to him. But he wants Joe to become part of that example. So by hesitating about what exercise was taking place, Joe can insert his knowledge into this example, making him part of it. So that was a clever way of doing that.
Chin up
But
bar.
he only has him doing that because he didn't answer, because he moved away from being answering. When he was being asked about, when he was bringing in the curvature of space-time and not answering anything about it, he diverted away and brought Joe Rogan back to a force of gravity, something that has nothing to do with it. He was being asked about gravity. He started talking about the curvature of space-time. Then when the heat, when the heat came on, he started diverting away from that. Joe Rogan didn't know any better, and brought him to his Instagram account. Had a little conversation about someone else's Instagram account that was nearly his Instagram account. And then look, guys pumping weights on the beach.
I'm interested in hand presses. I want to see what exercise that is.
Right, and it was
Cool.
And it was cool. He was silhouetted. There's a palm tree. There's the beach.
Yeah.
He's there.
Gravity's gonna beat that motherfucker. Let me tell you.
Eventually, but
No,
Oh, brother.
while he is in,
See, Joe's laughing along. He's getting, verbally enthusiastic. It's worked.
while he's there, he's conquering gravity. Are you getting too old? You haven't conquered
No.
gravity lately.
No, I work out all the time.
See, that's where it was leading. Yeah? Are you too old to overcome gravity? No, I'm not too old to overcome gravity. See what he did there?
I'm not buying it. That guy ain't conquered shit.
He's pulling rank
You
now.
know?
He said, I work out and you don't because I see your middle-aged man belly.
Wow.
Well, when I've talked to other astrophysicists and scientists,
Wait, let me ask. Are these...
Cut him right off.
Oh, yep.
Go on, whoever that was. 100 people watching. We're going to extend this live show. I want to get to the end of this video. We've only got a couple of minutes left, which is at least half an hour of us reacting. So please share the show. We will continue a little bit longer. See if we can get up to more than 100 people watching, as there's 100 people watching now. Also, a massive thank you to all of you who shared the show. That's the only reason we have 100 people watching. So thank you very much to all of you who shared. And if you've just joined us, thank you for joining. You've obviously come because you've clicked on a link that someone shared to you, because there's no way we're getting algorithmic love getting you here. So thank you for coming, but also please share the show if you just got here.
I was going to say he's accusing Joe Rogan of pulling rank when that's what he was doing from the beginning with his scientific knowledge.
Indeed. Also, you can probably see in the live chat, that's why I put it up on screen, Divergent Droid has put a link to the JRE clips video that we are watching now. So please go and toddle along as we are reacting to it. So if you are literally watching this live now as we speak, go and click on that link and just let JRE clips, or Joe Rogan himself, know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And to be fair, we have given him a fair amount of props in this, which is unusual, considering it's Joe Rogan.
Conversation supposed to have a theme or a purpose? Or is it just you sit there and just whatever comes to your head, you send my way?
you and me?
Yeah.
Well, clearly, it's just whatever comes to my
Okay,
head.
I don't know.
Come on,
How do you
man.
say
Think I have
this
an
episode
agenda?
is about? You can't say that.
I don't ever do that.
You don't do that. Okay, fine.
That's
It's just episode
the
number.
Secret to my success is that I don't have a purpose.
You got no commitments.
Well,
Good.
how the fuck could I ever have a thread? Think about all the different people that I have
of course,
in here.
of course.
It's like impossible.
Of course.
Between fighters and
That was a successful segue onto Joe Rogan and what Joe Rogan does away from the force of gravity that isn't a force that you can think of as a force, that's a bending 4D conceptual fabric, that's a funnel, that's not spooky action at a distance. Okay.
Now, Nathan, Joe Rogan was just about to say, I've talked to other astrophysicists, and now Neil deGrasse did a clever move. He didn't want to be, held up in dichotomy to those people. And look how off the subject we've got.
and scientists and scholars and crackpots. There's like a bunch of different people coming through here, man. I can't have any agenda.
All right.
I mean,
We're
that's
good.
probably the only reason why this thing is successful as it is. But that's a weird one for people, that this one thing that is so powerful.
What is? Oh, gravity.
That's a weird.
Ah, what did it do? What, power to pull bottles down when they don't go down, or the power to send a helium balloon up? Because gas isn't going down, go boom boom to force helium balloons up into the sky when it expands in all directions in all vectors. So that assertion is just debunked by a helium balloon. What power of it? The power of up? The power to send those clouds up? Oh, right, no, my bad. It's that it's only there. The purpose is to hold you to the side of a spinning water ball. So it's got to be down. The force of down holding you down, right? Like you said earlier? Yeah, we can debunk that. It's really easy. You just have to release a helium balloon.
The power to deceive almost the whole world. How about that?
Weird one for people.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems like you're frustrated by all the various questions. But it seems like you seem a little.
Yeah, it definitely does. Most assuredly. Yes, you're right, Joe. He does.
Get him, Joe.
Little defensive there. Am I right?
No, because I thought you were taking your why to ultimately mean purpose. If it's just why, I'm claiming that many responses to how are also responses to a why.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point.
Oh, if you want to push a ball down a hill, you first have to climb up a mountain. What a load of old nonsense.
Point I'm making, and I don't like splitting definitions.
Do you think we'll ultimately understand gravity?
I think we do. That's why we can land things on Mars.
That's what you went to before. Right? So the funnel that's a fabric is the reason you can land stuff on Mars, and we might figure it out at a later date if you Newton, but he was ultimately proven wrong, and it's the bending of space-time. That's a 4D geometry that's pseudo in nature. So you know that it's pseudo, if you know.
Yeah, there's the affirming the consequent. We understand gravity. If we understand gravity, we can land things on Mars. We've landed things on Mars, therefore we understand gravity.
Or reverse it. since gravity's not a force, since this just exists in the math, nothing was ever landed on Mars.
Yeah, that's more realistic because nothing was ever landed on Mars. It would involve a trip through a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, and we'd all be dead because gas expands in all directions. It's not going down with a force of down that isn't a force. It's actually a funnel that's a fabric that's not spooky action at a distance. But I'll convolute it with this and then talk about your hair growth and your Muscle Beach activities.
Well, we understand.
I think we
the
do, which is why
effects.
your cell phone gets time from GPS satellites.
Cartesian. So flat Earth grid systems give you time. Time's a concept. We've derived it from the celestial body's movements. Well, that derivative concept isn't going to be reified into a fourth dimensional space-time that can be bent. And the GPS you've just exampled, GPS uses a flat Earth grid system that's been taken from elevation angle measurements to stars along a flat baseline. So the grid that Tyson's just referred to prove bending 4D space-time concepts proves a flat Earth. GPS proves a flat Earth. It works on a grid like all of the charts and maps. They're all
Yes,
using
Nathan.
the same reference system.
Hang on. Let me just jump in. Nathan, yes, on that point, you're right, but don't miss what he was really saying. Satellites. Where do satellites exist?
Sky vacuum, second law of thermodynamics violation in an orbital motion derived by Kepler and another conceptual idea that came from the church to give us a heliocentric system with orbital motion that he's also begged the question of.
Right, but it's the same as landing something on Mars. He's going to things that they say they did, which they never did, ascribing it to gravity, which he hasn't explained the what or the how.
That is pre-corrected for Einstein's general theory of relativity because they're in a different gravitational field than you in orbit than you are on Earth's surface.
Dun, dun.
There are no gravitational fields in Einstein's relativity.
Yeah, he's a bullshitter. Doesn't know his own subject and is prepared to literally lie about it. That's not correct. Go on, whoever that was.
Let's say he doesn't know anything about GPS either. I guarantee I could sit down across the table from him and show how the GPS he's talking about, how if I gave him all of his paradigm, that I could show how that GPS doesn't work. That it doesn't work within the paradigm. It doesn't work, they say, that even within their paradigm, it won't work. You won't be able to navigate. You won't be able to find your location with that, within their paradigm, with what he's claiming, how none of it would work, how it has to be done differently.
Yeah, flat. It'd have to be done on a flat Earth with flat baselines to match up with the flat grid in GPS. GPS is a flat Earth.
Yeah,
proof.
I know. I was the first person to say that years ago. But the point is that even if I gave him his whole paradigm and sat down and allowed him to make all the claims he wants about GPS, I could go through the process that is claimed to happen. And I could show how he'd end up standing with a GPS receiver in his hand in the middle of nowhere and die within using the process they claim. Because it doesn't work. Even
And
within
die.
their paradigm.
I like that, Brian.
Yeah, because even within their paradigm, it's not going to work. I know how it does what it does. It won't work that way.
Yeah, we've only got 12 seconds left of this video.
This.
You're getting angry.
Okay, so that was it. Hopefully one of my mods will re-stick in a link to JRE clips, and you can go and let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and give him a positive comment. Big up the fact that he was calling out Neil deGrasse Tyson, and the fact that Tyson had to cut him off at various different points, prevent a juxtaposition with other astrophysicists and various other things that he did, just shows how good Joe actually is. I can't believe it's come across in my lips. But maybe pass him on that compliment if you are going to leave a comment for him that says at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. It's the only way we're going to get the algorithmic love spread. And the hope that Joe would do the same in return and put a link to my video should he ever respond. Highly unlikely, but that's the purpose. Hopefully someone one day will actually put a link to my video when they respond to us. We shall see. Anyway, let JRE know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me.
Or perhaps do an interview with Nathan Oakley 1980.
Maybe Joe will invite me on the show. I wouldn't want to piss him off. The guy could kick my ass.
Right. And I thought it was pretty impressive of him when, I thought he was going to tie the hair loss to gravity. Joe flipped that on him real quick. So Joe's smarter than he looks. I give him that.
That's a good way of putting it. I don't want to say that he looks dumb because he doesn't, but you know what I mean? There's a general impression that he's sort of, a bit lowbrow, bit dumbed down. Fine. That's probably still all true, but he's no fool. That's clear. Good on you, Joe. That was a good interview. I enjoyed covering that more so than most of the stuff that we've looked at from you in the past.
He
Good
may
stuff.
not know the right questions to ask or follow up with, but he sure read the body signals of Neil deGrasse Tyson perfectly. What are you mad about? What are you defending? What are you upset about? He read it perfectly.
There was a point. I didn't point it out because because QE's on the panel. I don't want him knocking my pseudoscience. But there was a point where Neil deGrasse Tyson hangs his head. Actually, see if I can find this. And Joe, in response, and it was just after I said I was all broad-shouldered, and Joe does this little shoulder flick. And I'll see if I can find it. I'll just have it playing in the background while I'm talking about this. But it kind of, to me, said, why are you hunched over, protecting your vital organs in the way you are, so defensive? And like I say, he just sort of flicks his shoulder back in a way to say, be less defensive in your body language. If I can find it, I'll show it. But it was just a very interesting back and forth in that regard, in terms of the power dynamic between the two of them. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's in the authoritative position here, shouldn't in any way be defensive or look like he's going to be gotten the better of by Joe, who, in terms of his at least body language, seems much, much more confident. And, I think 10th earlier pointed out, well, it's the second time around. So Joe obviously is unsatisfied with the answers that he's had so far. And therefore there's a need to sort of point that out within the body language. It's fascinating interaction, this one.
Yeah, but it would have been nice if he would have got back to the other people that he talked to. I wanted to hear that.
I was gonna say that the reason he was just like, we gotta swerve off of that is because Joe Rogan has had other so-called astrophysicists and scientists on his show that have shitted on Neil deGrasse Tyson, that have kind of made fun of him and Michio Kaku, and he's had both of them on his show. So that I could see why Neil deGrasse is like, yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah, he was good at that. He deterred him right away.
Okay. Now, typically I'd round out the show at this point, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stay live for a little bit longer just so I can actually test my computer. So it did actually overheat yesterday just after the show finished. So it didn't affect the show, which is good. But I've changed a few things, so I do want to continue live. And hopefully the conversation will progress. Me stressing the computer.
Yeah, let me go ahead
Stay
and start
tuned.
that.
In other words, we will stay live in another half an hour or so. We have got 100 people watching, so hopefully the conversation will continue.
I want to start it.
Oh, go ahead. I'll go after you.
I want to know. I want somebody to describe why and is hand presses.
Because he's a dumbbell.
Does anyone know what hand presses are? That's what I got out of this discussion. I want to know what a hand press is.
You want to know the why and is of hand presses.
And then what is it after that?
I have no idea. I don't know what a hand press is, and I work out.
Well, Joe agreed with him. So for you, Joe, can you show us some hand presses for us, Mr. Working Out guy?
I absolutely think that's the main point we should focus on here.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know. I think that if we go there, the bar would be set too high.
I agree with QE because everything else he talked about was bull crap. So might as well know what a hand press is.
Can we just bench this so I could talk?
Oh,
please?
damn, you got there before me. I was just about to use that pun.
Too quick.
So what was great about today's review is that this thing called gravity is got to be here for their heliocentric spinning monkey ball through space. And they can't even explain it. They can't even describe it. It was a force. It's no longer a force. It only now exists in the imagination of Einstein, which is a mathematical equation. Now they have to introduce a fourth dimension, time. Say time is a causal power when it's just a concept. It's abstract. You can't show us time in a box. You can't bend it. Look into all the stretching and massaging, because there is no such thing. As Nathan said, if you have a helium balloon and a water bottle at rest on a tabletop, and someone grabs the water bottle and lets it go in the medium of air, it's going to find something denser to rest on. But at the same time, you let go of the helium balloon, it's not going down. There is no force of down always. It's medium.
Well, as a matter of fact, objects weigh more in a vacuum. Something they can't do if gravity as a force existed, creating weight. That can't happen. Objects need to weigh less, would have to. There is no way around it. They would have to weigh less in a vacuum. But in reality, they weigh more.
Weigh more in a vacuum?
Well, maybe it's gas hand presses that's causing objects to weigh less than gas.
Well, I'm so glad we stayed live.
So am I.
No, it's
I am
again,
also glad.
we need more people to comment how Neil deGrasse is a magician, a parlor trick guy. Change the subject. Instead of answering a direct question with a direct answer, take you on a long story. Well, why and purpose? That's theological. No, I just want to know what gravity is. I just want to know how it works, and have we proven it? And you're now taking me to a why I want to know and the purpose after I think I know. No, I didn't ask those questions, Neil.
But they don't know what it is. They just know it has to be there. Next question.
Joe Rogan was like, "Why are you all in your feelings? What's going on, man? You're a science guy. you're supposed to be happy to do this." Sounds kind of like the exoplanet astrophysicist lady who got all mad at Wakey.
Yeah. But if George Muser says gravity is not a force, Eric Valinder says there is no force of gravity, Brian Cox, all these people say gravity is not a force. Doesn't that kind of answer Joe Rogan?
The Cox quote is, "There isn't really a force of gravity at all," end quote.
Right. So
Yeah, but
Joe,
you left out someone there. You left out someone.
Who?
Brian's logic, who proves that a force of gravity doesn't exist. Yeah. Dang, Brian's logic.
I'm thinking Caltech. I'm thinking all the citations for that, like the 30 of them. I'm going through them, saying, "Who?" Obviously, we didn't mention all of them, but I definitely didn't think Brian's logic.
Well, now you know what you should be thinking.
Get
You
him,
left out
Irish.
that. Yeah, get
Hold
him,
on. I got it right here. As a quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson, "What is gravity? Don't know. Next question." How can you debunk something that they don't even know what it is?
As far as what it is, we don't know.
well,
Yeah,
I don't know
we
what
are
it is, but we were able to land a rocket in a crater like a hole in one in Mars.
Well, if you think about our personal position, we had to debunk the existence. Well, we have debunked the existence of something that was never proven to exist.
Let me tell you
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Good point. That's
Let
a
me
good
let me
point.
give you a
Stated.
foolishness of that statement. I had a hole in one in golf, but I wasn't using a golf club, and nor was I aiming at the par 3 hole.
Yeah.
Right, but what is it that wasn't proven to exist?
Say
You
it
know what I
again,
mean?
Brian.
We have debunked the existence of something that wasn't proven to exist.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think he had. I think he had. Hold on. I think he had Joe Rogan fighting for it at the end. That's the way it sounded to me.
It's just a color commentary after the fact. It's all over. We can move on.
But yeah,
Let's
I'm just
stand
like,
back.
I'm just saying, if you can't even describe it, then like, what are we talking about?
You can't describe the whys and the ises.
Describe what? I heard about what and it and it and it and it and it and it and it.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Like, what are we debunking? The whys and ises,
The fabric
hows
that's
and
in the
whys.
funnel.
It makes a funnel. It bends space time. It does this. It does that. It keeps me to a ball. Oh my goodness! What is it?
I usually don't try to debunk bad grammar, but y'all go ahead.
No, but if ballers are watching this, how can they ever walk away with their heads held high like it's a victory for them? How could you even be a baller after that?
They're not a baller for that reason, Neil. They're a baller for another reason.
Yeah, I know. So about this documentary that we're going to put together.
Oh, good. Go ahead and produce it.
I don't know how. I wish I did. I would put it all together and get a good documentary with some dramatic music while you're demonstrating celestial navigation, with some dramatic music while we're debunking gas pressure without containment, how it's needed, and it can't be on a spinning water ball. There cannot be a vacuum of space. We could do a lot better than what's being done. And then we could get the QE scientific method.
What do you mean doing what's more than done? We've we've
You-
killed
you
it
made
all.
me
It's on
throw
the
up.
show.
What would you say, chocolate?
That's
on,
gonna make
come
me
on,
throw up.
Have chocolate rapping in the background, one deck's poetry. Come on, we could do something extravagant. Get a lot of subs, and the word will get out a lot more.
Well, if we can get deli food out of it, I'm in.
I think the reason the word isn't getting out is people don't want it. They want to live in their fantasies.
Why you got to ruin my
We
dream
don't
of a
offer them
documentary?
any.
No, let John finish. He's spitting some truth here.
People want to live in their
Nice.
fantasies. You can even look at the flat earthers that are in this subject who, like, want to live in ether. It's something that people want. They want their fantasies. They want it to be their universe, that they're living in. And it's just not the case. And we don't offer them anything except for, reality. What fun is that?
Yeah, very little glamour in what we do. Especially if, like I say, I plug the video that's available to members now, which is Blue Sky Gravity for Flat Earth only. You can listen to it and go, well, I'm not having my thirst quenched. My thirst being for a replacement for what I had before. People want a tailor-made, pre-packaged replacement for heliocentrism. And if you're not offering that, people aren't pleased with the result that they get at the end. Like, it's not enough to say, this is how you've been lied to. This is how the lie is structured. This is how it doesn't comport with reality. Okay, you happy? What's that? You're not happy? You want a replacement, but there's nothing to replace. There's no need to have it stuck to the side of a water ball with gravity. But you still want an explanation. But there's nothing to explain. And so you go on.
Ether.
No, hold on, because I was listening in the pre-show. I was listening. I couldn't go back and forth because I was doing something. But I have to concede because I heard John say something when he brought in with the structural support. Then if we're going to go there, then they could easily say that gas could take the shape of a sphere. So that has to concede on that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, Brian.
How the hell did you get that?
Where did you get that?
The
out
only-
of? That's crazy. enough.
That's what John said. If we're going to say
No,
structural
that's not-
support, then it's going to support the fact that gas could support itself into a sphere.
Right.
Oh, John,
See,
hang
if
on,
you're
hang on,
saying-
Nate, hang on,
That's
hang on,
that's
John, hang on.
ridiculous.
That's what. Hang on, hang on. Which one of us, including me, made any claims about gas having or not having structure?
You're getting very defensive there, Brian.
I am, because I've been strawmanned over and over and over and over and over, Nathan, about making a claim I never made.
Hold on. I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying that you
So
can
I didn't
describe
then.
the structural support, and the structural support will form a sphere. Brian, it's okay. I didn't say
won't,
structure.
John.
The
It won't,
structural
John.
support of gas will
You're
form a
trolling
sphere.
me now, John. You're trolling me.
No, I'm going where they're going to go, and they're dying to go there. Trust me.
So let me tell you why before you go, Brian. Because Chocolate had a good
They've
question.
already been through it with me, John. Go on, Neil. Sorry.
No, because Chocolate had a good question. Can anything that doesn't have structural support be crashed into or something? I don't know how you phrased it. But
Hang on, Neil. Hang on, Neil. You keep on. See, Neil, you're falling for it. I'm sorry to say this to you, but you're falling for it. You keep on talking about the topic the same way it's been argued to you by John. The term structural support was only ever used as a descriptor, a way of describing a grouping of effects, not just what's happening with gas, just a way of describing the people.
yeah, but they're
And I have
bringing it to
people-
gas.
I have people, but because they're being pedantic, say, "Oh, you're claiming this about gas." I'm not claiming it about gas, but I will point
So
out.
let's not go there again.
But I will point out that gas is claimed by people like John to have no structure, right? But
Now
he
he's
can't
got a
validate
straw
that.
man me.
But you
He's got
can't,
a straw
he
man me,
can't
doesn't he?
validate that. So
I
I'm
have
not
to
making
prove
a
that
claim
something
about gas.
doesn't
John is
exist.
making a claim. Hang on.
I got to
I
prove
am not.
something
Hang on.
doesn't exist,
Hang
Brian.
on. Hang on. I'm not finished. I am
Yeah,
not
you
making
are.
any claim.
You
I
just
am not
reversed the
making
burden
a
of
claim
proof.
about
You're
it.
done.
I never made a
You're
claim
done.
about it. No, I did not make a claim about it. You did. Now
I don't
you
have to
validate
prove
your
the
claim. You are the one with the
non-existence of
positive
something,
claim.
Brian.
That is all I'm
Brian, I
interested
don't
in.
have to
I'm
prove the
interested in you
non-existence.
validating your claim. I'm not interested in anything else. If you want to get tricky with me,
I'll
then I'll
go
get right
ahead.
tricky
I'll
back
go
with
ahead,
you.
Brian. It's real simple. I don't have to prove to you the not existence of structure.
You made a claim.
You don't need
I
to
don't
prove to
have to
Brian
prove
that
to
the
you
non-existence of
non-existence.
structure. He officially disclaimed it. There's no point in inquiring further.
So he's not going to validate his claim then. The person
He
with
doesn't
the
have a claim
positive
because
claim.
you don't have a claim.
No, he does have a claim.
No, he only had a
No,
claim
no,
in
no,
relation
no.
to what he thought
That's
was
not-
your
Let's go
claim, which you
carefully.
disclaimed. You
So he's
disclaimed
looking
your
with the positive
claim.
claim.
That's what
No,
his
hang on
claim
now,
was based
Alwyn.
on.
Hang on now,
Maybe
Alwyn.
if you
Hang
overtalk
on
it
now,
some
Alwyn.
more, maybe
Hang on
things
now,
will be
Alwyn.
better.
No,
then.
because you're trying to white knight for John.
No, I'm
No,
literally
you're trying to
explaining
white
what
knight for
happened.
him.
I am
You're trying
telling
to
you
white
he
knight
was
for him.
wrong.
That means it's not
He was
possible for
wrong,
me to have that
Brian.
because you're triggered in some
John
way.
was wrong.
John,
Do you need to
John,
overtalk
Arwin,
that?
can you not?
You
Arwin,
need to
Arwin,
overtalk that, don't
Arwin,
you?
please don't do that. Arwin, you're ruining the show.
Oh, I'm ruining the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
screaming
no,
through
it's
the
me.
top of him with your horrible story. Yeah, you are. Yeah.
When someone asks you to prove the non-existence of something, what are they doing?
He's not proving or claiming anything. There's no
No,
point in
no.
inquiring, John.
When they're
So
listen
it's
to
John.
me.
That's what
There's
let me
no
ask John a
point
quick-
in
let me ask John a
inquiring.
quick-
He's already
Let me ask John a
conceded
quick
he
question
has
then.
no claim.
Arwin, let me ask John a quick question then. Are you claiming, John, that gas doesn't have structure? That's all I want to know. Yes or no?
You're reversing the burden of proof.
I didn't make a claim. There's no reversal of burden because I didn't make a claim. I didn't make a claim. I didn't make a claim. I was strawman.
You did not make a
but I
claim
didn't
about
make a claim.
structural support. You did not
No.
make a claim about structural
I
support.
did not make a claim. Right? Are you
I
claiming?
agree.
Are you
I
making
agree,
a claim?
Brian. You
Are
didn't
you
make a
making a claim?
claim.
It's very simple,
You're
John. Are you
done.
making a claim?
Go
Yes or
sit
no?
in the corner.
Okay,
Go sit in the corner now.
Nathan,
You're
I'm not
done.
going to keep shouting over. I'm not going to keep shouting over, John. He won't answer as to whether he's making a claim or not. He wants to strong on me with a claim I didn't make. So I'm going to come back in a few minutes when things have cooled down.
Okay, no, that's fine. I don't want to argue with you, Brian, because you took the argument out of it when you said you're not making a claim. The argument's over.
Then
You
why continue
withdrew
talking
your
about it?
claim.
Why are you continuing then?
So you're not claiming then, John. You're not claiming that gas doesn't have structure.
Why would I need to?
Because you're straw manning at me as if I made a claim. I didn't make a claim. So you're not. You're the one then who has to either make a positive claim or not make a claim. Are you claiming, yes or no, that gas doesn't have structure? Simple question.
If you're not claiming that gas has structure, I'm not challenging that
Simple
claim.
question, John. Simple question.
It is.
Yes or no?
I just answered it.
He doesn't
You
have
didn't
to
answer.
answer
You're
you, Brian.
avoiding it. You're
He
avoiding
doesn't
it.
have
And I
to
know you're
answer
avoiding
you,
it.
Brian.
And
Stop
Arwen
trying to
is
force
coming
an
in to
answer.
Arwen,
to
you're
you
doing
again.
it again. You're talking right through the middle of him.
He talked right through the middle of me, yet you shouted at me, yeah?
He was
Because
already
John and
talking
Brian
Between
had
me
a
and John.
conversation.
I don't
Brian,
want
if
to
you're
say
not making a claim, if Brian isn't making a claim about structural support, then there's no need for me to say anything.
There is a need, John. You won't say it.
No, I
Because
agree
you know
with
that
you.
I'll have you. I'll have you by
I
the bone
agree
as
with you,
soon as you say
Brian.
it.
If
You know I'll have you.
you say
You know
there
I'll
is,
have
if
you.
you're not saying,
Straight away.
if you're not,
See what happens, John, when you
Brian,
want to get tricky
listen.
with somebody.
Words have meaning.
Tell me about
Words have
intuition,
meaning.
John.
If you're not saying gas has structural support, there's no need for me to say anything, Brian. Argument over.
Far from over.
You're not making a claim, you said. So why would I bother to say anything?
Why would you bother being honest? What's the point in that? That's what you're saying.
Why would I make a claim about gas in any way having structure unless you are saying it does?
John, either you're going to answer the question or I'm going to stop wasting my time with it.
You got a malformed question, Brian, because you're trying to reverse the
I don't
burden of
have.
proof, and I'm not going to let
I
you do
don't
it.
have. I don't have. My position is clear, and it's been clear from the start.
State your position then.
It's been stated 100 times, John.
No,
Don't
you
need to say it
just
again.
withdrew it. You just withdrew it, Brian. Did you miss that
I
part? where
didn't
you
withdraw it
withdrew your
because I
claim?
never made a claim of cause or anything else to do with a descriptor. It's a descriptor. That's all it ever was, a descriptor.
So you never said the structural support of gas.
I never said structural support. I never claimed the gas had structure.
We're
I
done.
never claimed it did. I never claimed
I
it didn't.
agree.
I didn't make any claim
I
about
agree.
it.
We're done.
You
We're
straw
done.
man me. You straw.
No,
you seem
I did
to be
not.
very aware of my claim now. Yeah, you weren't aware. You were straw manning me there for days. So
What claim?
either what claim
What
are you
claim,
making
Brian?
concerning gas? Because it seems to
What
me
claim,
that if I
Brian?
did make a claim concerning gas, you wouldn't be able to debunk it.
What claim are you making, Brian?
John, stop wasting my time. You're just being dishonest.
No.
You're just
No, I'm
being
not.
dishonest, John. No, I'm
No,
going
I'm
off.
not.
I'll go, Nathan, I'll be back in a few minutes.
I just wrecked you in front of the panel, is what
You
just
didn't
happened.
wreck anything, John. You just
So you're
proved
not
that you
making a
weren't willing
claim.
to be honest. When push came to shove, John
When push come to
wasn't
shove, you
honest.
withdrew your claim.
Wasn't honest. I was very honest about my position. You're being as vague as possible about yours. Because
I don't have a position, Brian. You made the claim that there was a structural support for gas. Now you withdrew it.
Because
It's
you
over.
know,
What are you
because
doing?
you know, because you know, as soon as you make that claim, it's over for you. But you don't
What
have the
claim is
honesty
that?
to make it.
The non-existence of
pride.
something? The non-existence
because
of
of pride,
something,
John.
Brian?
It's become
Pride?
so you're not making any claim about anything. Because I can't actually make claims and you can't debunk them. If I wanted to, concerning gas, you can't debunk them.
Oh, okay. So the burden's on me to debunk your claims, right?
Not
You
that
have no idea what
you were asked,
reversing
you
the
were
burden
asked
of
for your
proof is, do
position.
you?
You were asked for your position, and you decided to be dishonest. That's all I'm
I
interested
don't have a
in.
position, Brian. I didn't make a claim.
Wait a second. We talk about gases all the time. What's the problem now?
I've not made a claim, Neil. That's the problem. And Brian desperately needs me to have a position for him to attack. It's the same thing with ballers, with gravity.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then.
I just want some clarity here.
So yeah, check out that video if you're a member. 'Cause obviously, it's dying on its ass here. With the merits of whether or not it's even worth arguing about gravity once you figure out that it's not necessary and its only purpose is to keep you on the side of a spinning water ball. Once you figure that out, that's it.
Nathan, I could make the claim that gas doesn't have any structure. And if I was asked, would I be asked by John to support that?
In regards to what
And if I
claim?
wouldn't, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I be?
Self-evident claim. You're talking about a
Why wouldn't I
self-evident.
be? Why wouldn't I be? Why wouldn't I be? Why wouldn't I be asked to support that?
See, you're desperate
didn't
to get
validate that.
into this where I got to make a negative claim that you can attack. Right? You need a counter positive for you to put it up in false dichotomy. I'm not giving that to you, Brian, and you hate it.
I need some honesty, John, and I'm not getting it. That's the problem.
What was the question?
Looks like we never found out.
I'm in a position where I can't talk much. And I'm having an argument basically with John, and I can't be doing that with other people around me. It's very simple. My question was, is John claiming that gas does or does not have structure? That was my question. Very simple. Because if he's not making any claim, I mean, why is he attacking me then?
Well, does gas have structure?
It would seem that it would have to in some form or another, because the other day I was charged with making a fallacy of composition by asserting that gas molecules have structure based on a gas molecule having structure. So if a gas molecule didn't have structure, I wouldn't have been then charged with a composition fallacy, right?
Yeah, but you put a question
so-
together that I understood. I forgot how you phrased it though. About something colliding to
That's
something
like,
without structure.
can something that has no structure collide with something else? That was my question.
Right. And don't we always say that gas collides up to all its container and each other? That's what I'm stuck on.
Yeah, but the claim is
Sorry, I'm just
structural
an
support,
everyday
isn't
guy.
it?
I didn't get that.
The claim is gases have structural support, not just structure.
It's not. No one claimed that. No one claimed gases had structure.
Obviously, if gases are bouncing off each other, they need to be bouncing on the surface. So that means that the gases have surface for them to be bouncing off. Yeah, structure, yes, but not structural support.
Well, hold on. The surface is a support. Okay, you can lay down a building. You lay down a foundation. That's supporting the whole building.
Technically,
Yeah,
Neil,
that's
there's no
structural
structure. That's
support.
permanent.
I'm sorry, I heard two people at once.
Now, I was saying when it comes to
go
a
back to
building,
what I-
it has structural support.
Holy shit, we back on structural support. I go and eat breakfast and we come, I thought we were talking about Neil deGrasse.
Yeah,
John,
because I'm
real-
not clear.
Real quick, can we clear something up? Why did you charge me with a composition fallacy the other day.
You asking me that question? You don't understand it after I explained it to
I
you 10
do.
fucking times?
Yes, I do. I want you to say
I'm
it
not
out loud.
explaining it
Now,
to you again.
it's not for me. I understand it. I'm telling you to just say it out loud now.
Oh, you do understand it. You just want me to explain it.
Yes.
Yes,
For the
because
benefit of others.
okay, individual gas molecules have structure, right? There's a lot of things that connect the individual gas molecules together, but as a collective, they're structureless. That's the key.
Yep.
So,
So-
composition fallacy, right?
Right. So
So
that's what
if
I
you
was
say-
saying.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. I was charged with a composition fallacy.
Rightly so.
Because yeah, and that's fine. I accept that because I said molecules have a structure as opposed to a gas molecule. Right? But now there's this big fight between John and Brian as to whether gas has a structure or not. And
What
it's like,
fight?
No,
Well,
there
there-
isn't a fight about that.
well,
It's that
maybe not.
John was
Go ahead,
strawmanning
Brian.
me as being claiming that gas has structure. And I told him that I made it very clear I never have. I never made that claim. I told him very clearly that I was only using what the term as a total descriptor for a whole series of phenomena involving different phases of matter. All phases of matter. Hang on, just let me finish. I asked John a very simple question. Is he claiming the gas does or does not have structure? He won't answer. That's what's going on.
Why would he be claiming it?
He has a problem with me for some reason, so he must surely have some kind of a counterclaim.
What's the problem?
He won't give it.
Why does he have to have a
Does he?
counterclaim? He doesn't have to have a counterclaim. He can query
Well, if he
yours.
doesn't have a counterclaim concerning gas, then he can't argue with me, can he?
Well, no, that's rubbish. That's like saying, I'm a ball earther. If you've not got a counterclaim what the earth is, you can't say the ball's a load of rubbish.
Let's just say I said I claim gas as structure, right? Then if you don't have a counterclaim to that, then how are you going to argue with me?
Well, let's just discuss with your claim. Gas has structure. Can't we just discuss that? Why do I have to have a counterclaim to be able to discuss the claim that gas has structure? Why is it necessary? It's not.
But that's
Wait, how are you
why
gonna
I just
argue
had
against the
QE. That
Go on,
sorry.
John.
No, but that's why I
wanna
just
say quickly.
had QE to reiterate what we were talking about, right? That maybe that's a nuance that that's got us all fucked up right now because
That's right.
gas molecule. Sorry, Nathan. A molecule, like QE just said, does have a structure, but as a whole, they don't.
But I think me and Brian's got an issue. I think what's happened is it's got confused. And Neil seems to be the one that's asking for clarity. But I don't, and this is my point, I'm not to attack, but what is the clarity after Neil? When you just said earlier, I lay floors, that's got structure. I'm
No, I
still
said
not
a
sure
building
where
has
your
a
point of
foundation.
contention is, Neil. So are you able to clarify a bit for us?
No, because I'm thinking about the question Chocolate had the other day. So I'm just putting that together and I'm saying, yeah, there has to be some sort of structure to it,
And
right?
what was the question?
Say your question again, Chocolate, because I'm going to butcher it.
Can something with no structure collide with something else?
Yeah, that's meaningless to the discussion.
No, but I thought
Oh, I don't
gases
think so.
collide into each other.
You're getting down to individual gas molecules having structure again. It's a fallacy, Chocolate.
Oh, okay, I got that's the foul. Okay.
No, your composition fallacy actually has it's helped me out with that because now I understand what the hell is going on.
See, that people take note of that. See, he didn't take it personally. He used a fallacy. He wasn't aware of it. I explained it to him, and he says, "Okay, you're right." So no pride, no nothing. That's why chocolate's chocolate.
I did the same thing.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
not here for pride though. So
No, that's what I'm saying. That you're not. That's that you're a stand up. I mean, you're the poster child of intellectual honesty, and your pride didn't. Your pride wasn't fucking with you. Oh, no swearing.
So,
So,
then that's
okay.
so then that's the error. Was
Well,
made. Okay.
When I first brought up the topic of, well, brought up the term, sorry, structural support, why it came to that term was I originally started with matter support, and it turned into the structural support of matter, and then it became structural support as a way of describing. But maybe matter support is a better term, my original one, because the whole thing of what I'm trying to describe is what is stopping what's causing the helium balloon, not causing, but a way of describing kind of the helium balloon going up or something floating. The point is that there's something that is made of matter that's preventing that thing that's floating from going down.
I'd agree with that, bro. I wouldn't have no objection. Yeah, because with describing matter, and we've talked about whether it's matter in a structure or whether it's collision based. We're not making a claim. We're just describing what's doing it, the matter. I've got no problem with that whatsoever because there's no word that's counterintuitive to me, and that was the issue. Using that word invoked something which wasn't the correct thing as I understood it.
And with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!